Here at Valley Horse Transport, our high level of knowledge and experience within the equine industry ensures that your most important and most loved assets are professionally transported with the utmost safety and welfare. Adelaide to Melbourne, Melbourne to Sydney, with reliable connections throughout all states in Australia. With the well-being of your equine companions being of paramount importance, our angle load transport trucks are fully equipped with a full range of safety devices and features. As well as providing professional equine transport, Valley Horse Transport also have multiple stabling facilities located among our routes, ensuring your horse arrives safe and in excellent condition. When the best is only good enough, ring us at Valley Horse Transport on 0499 449 151.
We finished off with your career in working for Boral and then on to Anglicare. Now your two sons, you mentioned about Scott was involved hands-on sort of thing.
Yep.
He has been he's raced a lot of horses with you, and I know at one stage, I'm not sure what his position is now, but he very high up in, I think it was a hospital organisation or something.
Yep.
And then, of course, your other son, Christian.
Yep.
Everybody knows Chris as he was a board member. He was a chairman of our board when I was on the board with him, and a very astute man in his role with the company he works for, which I know he's been very, very successful in. Unfortunately, with the growth of the company of which he was hugely the part of, he was forced to basically stand down from the board and finish his time, which was pretty sad. And not long after that, the government have then put their own sort of people in to run the show, which is, that's a point of contention with everybody. But at this stage, we don't have any Chris Hartwigs on the board, so. You'd obviously be proud of both the boys, and they still got a passion for the industry, and I know that certainly Chris is in some of them syndicates. I don't know whether Scott's in with you or not, but I know Chris is certainly involved in
well, Chris certainly is. Scott is he occasionally, but he's actually sort of deviated a little bit into syndicates in the Gallops.
Oh, he's a money man.
Well, I don't know whether I think I would have rather stayed in harness racing if I was him, because
So who's he got horses with? Are you in any of those or not?
No,
you haven't gone the dark side yet.
No. The only time I ever bet on the Gallops is Melbourne Cup.
Oh, which is the worst one to bet on. But
you go for the trifecta.
Oh,
mate.
okay.
I've landed some very big trifectas.
Yeah, all right.
Biggest one about 10 grand.
Oh, cool. So has he got any race at the moment? Is he,
Yeah, he has. I think he ran a second recently. But
and who trains for him?
God knows.
Oh, okay.
I have no interest in it.
So Chris has got. I think he just said he had an operation, didn't he? So not long ago. Did something wrong with his knee?
Oh, yeah. He did.
Pounding the pavements, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, he's a fitness freak, and he does. And he's. About age 52, 53, he competed in a marathon, and much to his brother's disgust, he slashed.
He finished it in some time.
Well, Scott had done it previously, and he'd done a marathon in about 2:50 something, which is quite outstanding, I think, for a guy around.
I could do it in 2 days in 51.
Yeah, and Chris, as he did it recently and took some time off of it, but I think his knee paid the penalty for it. Because you really are pounding the pain.
I can remember when he's on the board, he said to me, Gaz, I've got to go on a diet, and I thought he must be all of 70 kilos maximum.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you raced a few horses together. I think Chris is still in some of those. I think his artillery and that, I think you had shares.
Yeah, look, I do envy him. I missed out on getting into artillery because that one filled up very quickly, and yeah, I missed out on that one. And artillery is a bloody good horse.
Yeah, well, he's a nice horse. So you've seen a lot. You went to Wayville. How old were you when you were going to Wayville?
Oh, I reckon I was only in my 20s, I reckon.
Okay, so where were you living near Wayville, or were you?
No. I just got a passion for it.
So when you go to Wayville, so say for argument's sake, in the old days, what did you do? Catch the tram, train, bus, drive?
Well, it depended. We usually go there with a couple of mates, and we'd usually take a car. And it used to be hard to get a park, but you'd eventually get a park somewhere.
Yeah, not hard to get a park
well, then
now.
You go to Oval, then you go to town.
That's the biggest. Everyone that I know from interstate goes, Globe Derby's just, it's too far, it's out of the way, can't get any transport, etc., etc., etc. And you probably notice that all the more successful, I'm not saying they're the best or the biggest or whatever, but the more successful tracks in Australia, which are obviously Albion Park and Gloucester Park, are in the city centre, or very close to the city centre, where public, especially Gloucester Park, you can catch a bus anywhere that drops you 100 metres, 200 metres from the gate, sort of thing.
And that's probably the weakness of Globe Derby in the sense of its isolation, because, as you say, the two that you mentioned there, if you go to them, and I have been to them, you can go into the city afterwards.
Exactly. Well, could you imagine if you had a reasonable sized track at the showgrounds now, and were trotting or pacing on a Friday night instead of Saturday, you'd just pack it out, wouldn't you, with the tram going to Glenelg vice versa?
You would. I mean, the one thing about harness racing, it's been its own worst enemy with some of the decisions it's made over the years. I mean, I remember when Sky first came in, I used to hammer the guy who was the president at the time to get in there, because and at that stage you didn't have to pay; they'd pay you.
Well, they went with the wrong vision, didn't they? Remember, there was Sky Channel was the other one, and Pro whatever, and they went with the wrong one, and they paid for it ever since. But if you're looking at it all, like I live an hour and 15 minutes from Globe Derby, and I've got a horse run on a Monday, and it takes me an hour and 15 to get there, an hour and 15 to get home, and at least at half to 3/4 an hour at the track to see your trainer. So you're blowing 3 hours, and we run fifth. You think, might as well just watch it at home on my phone or on the television. So, I can see that it's made the product more available to the people, but it's also, I think, killed the on course and
totally
to go.
No, it has totally killed it. I mean, in fact, I think it's killed bookmakers as well. Because to have bookmakers there, you've got to have a crowd. And as the crowds disappear, the bookmakers.
Well, so as soon as they've let the overseas corporates in, I think that's killed everything.
Well, that's another factor too.
So, what you've seen some good horses in your time?
I have.
Without putting you on the spot, South Australian horse people, whether it be gallops or paces and trotters, have been the breeding ground, and probably AFL footballers if we're going to go that level, that have fed the interstate, whether it be Hawks or Bart Cummings or Colin Hayes or whether it be the Justice Boys, or who we go on and on. So what's the best horses that you've seen race in Australia or New Zealand? And what's probably the best trainers and drivers, just in your opinion, because obviously you're a pretty in-depth person that you'd study all of those aspects. It's
very hard to say which is the best, because there's been so many really good ones. Christian Cullen was one that really.
Christian Cullen was a nice horse.
Yeah, it comes to.
Did you see Mary's Idol at all?
There's an interesting story about that, because Mary's Idol had his first start in South Australia.
I was there then,
and I was down at Globe Derby, and it was the first race on the program, and it was a trotters race and maiden trotters. And I noticed that there's one from Victoria, Mary's Idol. Now, my little brain said, you don't bring a horse all that way for nothing.
For float practice?
Yeah. And it was 10-1. And I laid into it. I just laid into it. Anyhow, at one stage of the race, when he's so far behind, I thought, well, I've done my day. I went into top gear. It just made the others look like they'd been nailed to the ground. And it was outstanding. So I cleaned up beautifully.
And so that horse has ended up, that bloodline of Mary's Idol's mother and that has been probably the foundation brood mare of the best trotters in Australia. And now, starting with the influx of American and French and Italian trotting blood, it's nearly going to be unbeatable, I'd say, in the next 5 to 10 years.
I'm struggling to remember one that Vinny Knight rode.
He had... he had Popular Arm.
That's the one I'm trying to think of.
He was a magnificent looking animal.
He was.
He ended up standing at stud over at John Baker's over at Cleve on the West Coast. But was just a freak and a beautiful looking. Like he was a showman, that horse.
Yeah.
So what about the trainers and drivers? Now you've seen plenty here and you've seen plenty around Australia. If you had to give a horse to someone today,
Yes.
so you owned Leap to Fame or whatever, who would you give it to?
Well, it depends. It depends whether you. Well, no, I can't tell what I was going to say.
Okay.
But
we've edited it before, Billy. Don't worry about that. When we did the late Dominic Barbaro, we had to cut a few swear words out.
Well, some trainers seem to have a booster or something.
Oh no, we won't talk about that. It's not. We're not talking about COVID, right? So let's talk about drivers because we know they're all on a level playing field. So with the drivers, we've had some of the best here in Australia. I don't care
we really have.
Who's the best you've seen? Because you've seen old ones too, don't forget.
Yeah, I have.
You're a little bit older than me.
Well, Jim Hurley, he was a good driver. Lance Justice. What I liked about Lance wanted to win at all costs.
You never died waiting.
No, I know.
And you talk about Vinnie Knight. They drove at their best, very similar. They basically bludgeoned. If they got outside of you, you had two choices: either take your medicine or hand up. And a lot of the times, Vinnie was great at bluffing people, because if he didn't, you thought, well, I'm not going to win. So, and Lance had his best. He knew how good his horse was, exactly what it could time, exactly what it could run. And if he had to sit outside you and run the race he wanted to, he would win anyway, wouldn't he?
Well, his attitude was, he used to say to me, "Look, I might kill your horse tonight." He said, because, but I have to. He said, I must always go for the lead. And he said, whether I know they're going to hand up or not, I have to burn them. And because that way they'll remember next time they'll hand up.
Well, hopefully.
Well, that was his philosophy.
What about of late? We've had all the,
Ryan Ihoric.
And very good money. If you had your last $2,000 on South
He'd
Australia,
be my man.
Yeah, he's very.
And if he was away, Wayne Hill.
I think probably.
I'm talking about local.
Local, yeah. I think Greg Sugars has proved that he's certainly, of all the Sugars, Lenny, Rossi, and him, he each generation he's very, very good.
Very good driver.
I don't think there's much better than Jeffrey Webster when Jeffrey was driving. Has driven of late, but still, at his best, he was.
Jeffrey was a cool, calm driver, and he won some races with his tactics. Must tell you a story about Lance though, but he, as I said, he always wanted to win at all costs. And I used to go out every Saturday. And Michael Pearson, there was a horse there that they had that had been building up. It had a spell that was building up. And it was in the same race as the favourite, which Lance was driving. And anyhow, Michael Pearson said to me when we were out on the track, "Get on this one. This one is cherry ripe." Trevor Kelly driving it. He said, "It's cherry ripe." And he actually told Lance, he said to Lance, "I think this one will beat you tonight." And he said, "Do you want to put some money on it?" "Oh, okay, Lance." So Lance put some money on it as well. Anyhow, it was coming down the straight, looked like winning. Next minute, flying down the outside comes Lance and knocks off the money horse.
Good.
And we are all heartbroken. We're all heartbroken.
I bet you didn't pay the bill in 7 days after that one, Billy.
No, Ebby was heartbroken. And Lance said...
Yeah, that's how determined he is.
Yeah, he just said, "I forgot."
He forgot. While we're talking about drivers, I still say it, and I've said it in every interview, I still say David Harding would drive 100 to 1 pop like it was $1.10 and they would win. And I've seen it time and time again.
David had beautiful hands.
He's the one. I think he's the best driver I've seen out of South Australia, and they can talk about, the Dick Websters and all of those great drivers and Jeffrey and Rossi and all of those. But I still think David Harding was a terrible loss to the industry as a driver.
Massive loss.
Because as I said, he didn't care what odds they were. He drove them how he thought the horse should be driven. And a number of times that he would be on a thing that was probably 12 to 1 that should have been 50 to 1, and they won was was nothing short of amazing.
Well, he won some races for me. I had a horse with his, my Diamond Blue, I forgot to mention him, he was a nice horse. He won quite a lot of races. That was with Matthew Harding, and I used to love it when Matt got suspended because I got David as the driver, and we always won.
I don't know whether we can cut that out or not, Bill. I can remember David Harding driving Aretusa Lass, Major Crocker's mother, in a 3-year-old race at Globe Derby on a Monday, and it was in against Stanley Chasm, which they apparently had like not 5,000, like 30 grand or something on it at $1.30, and David drove ours like it was a superstar and it just led and won.
Yeah.
And he didn't think there was any problem.
He had beautiful hands, horses went well for him, but he also thought the race out as well.
Oh, he did, yeah, for sure. So, what do you think about the industry as a whole? I mean, we're never going to get back to the days of, for any people to think we're going to get back to the days of having huge crowds is ludicrous. There might be one-offs, but it's not going to be on a permanent basis. So, what do you think of the whole lot altogether? Do you think, I'll be shocked if you say it's just going as good as it was. What do you think has happened to the industry, and where do you think it will end up?
Well, I don't think it's any secret really that the people that have run the game have made error after error after error after error. I mean, to even you get a report by Brian Cunningham, which Chris was actually in charge at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But no cooperation at all from...
Well, basically when Brian Cunningham, and I was on the board at the time, was the most concise report ever done from a gentleman who had basically minimal knowledge on the industry, but the report was absolutely unbelievable, and nobody wanted to implement the thing. So yes. That was basically just a waste of time, money, and effort, and it probably went in the drawer with the other two that were done over the previous 10 or 15 years.
And I think, I think one of the biggest mistake was, as you said, backing the wrong horse instead of Sky Channel. And that was a huge mistake. But we are where we are, and the question is, how do you save it? And probably the only way you're ever going to save it is to probably create a new site which is totally clear of Globe Derby, and just.
But Bill, when you say save it, do you mean to save it? We have the lowest in South Australia. I'm talking here, and this is not just South Australia. The whole of Australia is struggling, but in South Australia we have the lowest stake money of any state. So if you say saving it is to stay at the status quo now, it won't save it, will it?
No.
It's a bit like when you said you took over Anglicare.
Let's say to improve it.
Anglicare were running a business at a loss. So at the moment, most trainers and drivers and owners are running at a loss. So if we're going to have the status quo, we're all going to be running at a loss. It's going to be a cottage industry. When we say save it, it has to improve at least 10 to 20% for us to be at least be able to be head above water, don't we?
Well, yes.
And how do we do that?
Well, the old saying, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. And that's unfortunately what has happened. And you're quite right. Where things have to change, it has to be done differently. So you have to think sort of outside the square. And outside the square, there's even though they've fallen for the trap of allowing all those properties to be mortgaged to Seymour, and which was a massive mistake. I couldn't believe.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, though, and they happen to lose that, some of the things which the controlling body doesn't have any control over is the fact that the government are taking all this money with the POC tax and whatever and giving minimal amount of it back. So everybody's got their nose in the trough, and the ones that are putting the product on are getting back, 10 or 15% of what they should be. So, I think the money that they're receiving to run the business is about 30% of what it would have been.
Yeah, look, I think the obvious thing is you have one body for the harness racing, not two, not three, not four. You have one.
So you'd say that Harness Racing SA would own the club, own the track, and run the whole show.
It's the only way it'll work. It is the only way it'll work.
Well, that's what happens with the dogs now, isn't it? The dogs are doing that.
It's the only way it will work. And I mean, as I say, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. So you've got to change. And as you say, there's limited ways you can do it because of the current situation. And so, and then once you've got, I think, you know, if you did that, consolidate it, maybe even find a new site, make it.
Well, it's never going to be cool again, Bill. That's the thing. It's never going to be a cool sport, right? So at the moment, it's all driven by punting dollars. With the punting dollar, you can go and have a bet on the NRL Grand Final, and there's about 80 different choices.
Yes.
It's the pacing is not cool, or trotting's not cool anymore. So if you're completely relying upon turnover all the time, you can't do it. You've got to diversify, and that's where they probably should have took the idea up of building commercial properties on that land out the front of Globe Derby, and that would have given enough income over the next 20 to 30 to 50 years to put up reasonable stake money instead of relying upon the government giving them, like, hand feed them like chickens.
Well, it's true, but they did it, and you know, they missed a lot of opportunities. And every time you miss one of those opportunities, when you're making a loss, you're getting further and further
behind. Yeah.
So it makes it it can get to the point where you just can't recover.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you are relying on the government for it.
Well, I think we are relying on the government now, and as much as they're trying hard to stimulate it, it's if your budget's X, you can't make it X plus 20. So
I will say, look, I think they're trying hard.
Oh, without a doubt.
But as you say, they're just little bits. They're not major changes.
All right. Well, look, we got to finish up, Bill. Sorry, we got to finish up on a downer note or a sadder note.
It was a bit of a negative note.
But I'm sure that all the people that know you, they know your son Chris that was on the board, and Scott, that and you've been a very astute man with purchasing horses, racing horses, and in business. That for someone that can sit here and analyse it the way you have, I'm sure everyone will be glad that they've watched the show. So thank you very much, Bill. All the best for the future.
Thanks, Gav. I love the industry, and I hope it improves and goes well.
Thank you.
Right, stay there.
I'm here.
I need to reintroduce part 2. So maybe you can say,
Well,
we've only just broken the surface. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about your life and more about the future of harness racing and where it's going. That might just, as a leader, to bring someone in, and then we can cut that back in.
Okay, so what I need to say?
Sorry?
So we're back.
No, you're just winding up part 1. So you can say, well, look, we're going to leave part 1 here.
So part 1 we finished with Bill working, didn't we? So just winding up. We'll just wind this part 1 up, Bill, and we'll come back and discuss more on you and your son's involvement in the industry,
And maybe the future.
and what you think of the future of where we're headed. Righto, you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bill, we'll wind up part 1 of this interview, and as we'll come back and discuss your involvement with your sons and their involvement in the industry, and we'll get some thoughts on some of your horses and what you think of harness racing and where we may be headed in the future. Thank you. Is that all right? What do you reckon, Billy? Good?
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Gaz is getting ready to go because I've got to go. I'm a busy man. That's good. Now you make sure you get as much as you can on the photos and all right? Yep. And